welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Reeti and I'm back with another lecture in the SQL series. So in the last lecture we got to know more about SQL commands, types of SQL commands, DDL, DML, DQL and much more. In this particular video we would be starting with the creation of databases. So without any further delay, let's get started. So before starting, let's re-revise some older topics as well. So what is database? Database is basically the collection of data. Now, database is divided into two types. First is the relational database and second is the non-relational database. Now, what is relational database? Relational database are the databases in which the data is stored in the form of tables. And all the tables have some relation between them. There is some interrelated data. What is the non-relational databases? So a database in which the data is not stored in the form of table, rather it is stored in the form of key value pairs or something else. So this is the basic difference between relational and non-relational database. As of now, we would be dealing with the relational databases. So consider a scenario, there is a user. Now user wants to interact with the database. How a user can interact with a database? So a user can't directly interact with database. What a user can do is, a user can interact to the database using a software. So using a software, a user can interact with database. Now what this software is called? This software is called as DBMS, that is Database Management System. So any software which is helping us to manage our data is called as Database Management System. Now I told that we are dealing with the relational databases. So we would be using RDBMS. That is Relational Database Management System for our purpose. So example of RDBMS is MySQL, which we would be using as a software. Now we have got the software, but we need to make some queries into the database. Like if I want to do some insertion, I want to do some deletion, I want to do some update in the values. So I have to tell the database ki, okay, this is the value I want to insert, this is the value I need to update, this is the value I need to delete. So for that purpose we use SQL. That is Structured Query Language. So it is basically a programming language which help us to make some queries into the database. Like consider that there is a new student which is coming into my college. So all the details about that particular student would be inserted into the database. Consider that there is a student who has left the college. So all the particular data related to that student would be deleted from the college. Consider that there is a student who has got his address changed. So that particular field would also be updated. So all these operations like the manipulation operations like insertion, updation, deletion, we can do using this SQL programming language. Now coming to the database design. So what is this database design and how is this important? So consider a use case that I have been given, that I have to design a database for student. As of now, I know that I have to design a database for student, but do I know that if I design a database for the student, what would be the tables inside that particular database? As of now, I only know that there is a student database. I have to create that student database. But do I know that what all tables would be there in that particular database? What all domain constraints would be there for that particular table? Domain constraint you can understand in this way ki, okay, there is a field called as name. There is a field called as age. So age would be taking some integer values. Name would be only taking character values. Age is something which should never be null. So some rules should be there. So I don't know that what all constraints should be there. Then again, I don't know about the primary or foreign keys. So keys help us to uniquely identify records in a table. So I can uniquely identify a record for a particular person in a table. So I don't know about all these things, the constraint, the keys, the tables. Only thing which I know is I have to create a database. So in the database design, what we do is कि whenever we are given a use case that we have to create a database, we are also provided with the schemas. So what is schema? So whenever we are giving any table name or the database name followed by all the attributes which is present there, we called it a schema. So here you can see that there is a student schema, right? With all the attributes which is there is student name, student roll number. Here you can also see that there is a teacher schema, which is having all the details about the table name, that is teacher, the characteristics or the attributes, that is table name and teacher ID. And here you can see that we are taking the database as school. So we have taken the database as school DB we have taken as of now. In the school DB, there are two tables. First is the student table. Second is the teacher table. Now when we create a table, there are multiple number of rows and multiple number of columns. So these are called as rows and these are called as columns. But in databases, we called columns as attributes or characteristics. So basically attributes are the characteristics of a particular entity. Like consider that there is a student database. Now that particular student database is having some of the tables like student course or student address details. So there are two tables in that student database, course and address details. So both of them would be having some of the attributes, like course is having some of the characteristics such as course ID, course name, like all the things about the course. And the address would also be having all the details about the address like street, flat number, pin code, everything, right? So all the attributes or the characteristics which is present, we insert in the column, and all the particular record about that particular student is inserted in the rows. So basically these all are the characteristics or the attributes, and this is the table name. So you can see S name, student roll number, teacher name and teacher ID are part of attributes or the characteristics of that particular entity or that particular table. So now we are clear that we have been given a college database or a school database in which there are two tables, student and teacher. Now in that student table there are some attributes, in that teacher table there are some attributes. So we have done a basic designing of our database. Now let's move ahead with the creation of database. So whenever we are creating a database, we create a database in a server. So what we do is, first we establish a server connection to create a database. So once we have established a server connection, we can create databases. Now the first question which will arise in your mind is, can we create only one database in one server, or we can create multiple database in one server? So the answer is, we can create multiple databases in a single server with a different name. Yeah, so the name shouldn't be same. With a different name, we can create multiple databases in a single server. So consider that this is a server 1. In that server 1, there are two databases, database 1 and database 2. So there are two databases which is created as of now in server 1. Now in databases also, the second question is, in a database, can we create only one table or multiple table? So the answer is, we can create multiple tables in a single database. So you can see that there is a school database. In that particular school database, there is table 1 which is course, and there is table 2 which is fees. And in this hospital database, there is a table which is patient. So in a single server, there could be multiple databases. In a single database, there could be multiple tables. So this happens while creation of database. So when you have established a connection in a server, you can go ahead and create the database. In that particular database, you can create some tables as well. So there is no restriction on the amount of creation of databases or the amount of creation of tables. Now let's start with the creation of database. So there are some steps which we should follow while creating a database. Let's have a look on them. So the first step is choose a DBMS, that is choose a software. As I told earlier that if a user needs to interact with database, he or she needs a software. So we would be choosing a software. As I told earlier that we are using relational databases, or we are dealing with relational databases as of now. So we will be choosing a RDBMS, and that is MySQL for now. Now the second one is connect to the server using command line or a graphical user interface. So now I have installed the software, I have the software. Now I need to establish a connection in the server where I would be making the databases. So that I can do in two ways. Either I can go to the command line and establish a connection, or I can establish a connection using GUI or user interface which I am having in my PC. So mostly the command line is not covered here. So you can go ahead and have a look on all the articles which is present at how on the command line we can establish a server connection, we can create a database or insert the database. The commands remain the same, but just there are 2-3 more steps extra. So the third one is create a new database. So there is a command we need to execute for creating a new database in the UI or the user interface which we have downloaded for executing all the SQL queries. Now the fourth one is, once the database is created, you can use the use statement to create tables in the databases. So again, going back, as I told that in a server there could be multiple databases. So how the server would know that if I want to create a table, in which particular database I want to create a table? So for that case, what we do is we use the use statement, use followed by the database name. Once I execute this particular query, my server will be known that okay, in this particular database, now what all actions are being done is being done in that particular database, like insertion, deletion, updation, anything. So I can use the use statement to tell the server ki as of now I am working on this particular database. And the fifth and the last step is create tables and insert data. So before moving forward with the SQL commands, I just want to let you know that SQL commands are super easy to understand because SQL commands are very similar to the English statements. Consider that if you want someone to create a picture of yours, like create a drawing of yours, what you will say, can you please create a drawing of mine? So you say create a drawing, right? In the same way, if you want to create a database in SQL, you say create database followed by the database name. So it's just like the simple English language which we use in day-to-day life. And whenever I say someone that create a drawing of myself or create a picture of myself, I'll just end the statement with a full stop. Here we end the statement with the semicolon. So it's just like a statement which is ended by a semicolon. So to tell the server or to tell the database that this particular command is being executed and the next command is in next line or whenever the next semicolon is found out. So we use the create database statement to create a new database. So we generally use the create database followed by the database name statement to create a new database. As I told again, it's very similar to the English language, like create a database. So create database. These commands are not case sensitive. So what does this case sensitive means? Consider that if I am executing create database followed by a database name, consider student. If I am executing this command in uppercase and if I am executing this command, the same command, what is happening? Okay, so create database student. So if I am executing this command in uppercase or in lowercase, both will give me the same result. So this is not case sensitive, like we can either use the smaller cases letters or the upper cases letter. So for now, let's go with the upper cases letter because there would be a notion we would be following for all the particular queries. So let's follow the uppercase one. So we will use this particular command, that is create database name. So let's go to our UI and let's learn that how we can create a database. So I'll be opening my MySQL workbench. So here you can see in MySQL workbench, by default there is a connection which is established, but I want you all to learn that how we can establish a new connection as well. So we'll just click on this plus icon. Once the plus icon is created, we'll give the connection name. Just give it as SQL for now. And here we can give the password which was asked while we were installing the MySQL workbench and server. So I'll just provide the password here. And once I have provided the password, I can click on OK. So you can see a new server connection is established here. So once I'll open this server connection. Now here you can see that there are many tools which is present. So let me just familiarize you with all the tools which is present and then we will go ahead with the query. So here you can see that there is an administration tab and here you can see that there are some of the instances and management status which is present. So this basically deals with our server connection, if you want to make a new connection, if you want to end that connection and other things. So there is a schema tab. In this schema tab, you would be seeing all the databases you have created, all the tables you have created, the primary key, the foreign key, the constraint, everything in this schema tab. By default, you can see that there is a SYS schema which is already present. This is of MySQL workbench. So basically the database administrators have this already created to see the performance, how the performance is going. There is a performance schema also present here which is present in this SYS. So we'll not touch this SYS, we'll just create a new database here. And here you can see that there are some icons. So this icon would help you to create a new SQL file. So if you want all the queries to be in new file, or if you are creating multiple databases or working with multiple databases, you can create new files and work on that particular database. Here you can see that there are two run commands. Like if I am writing any query, I have to run it, right? So for that particular query, if I have to run it, there are two tools. So the first tool runs everything which is present in the file. Like if there are 16 or 17 SQL statements, it will execute all the SQL statements which is present. And the second one is run the selected one. So if I select any of the SQL statement, that only would be executed, not the entire file. So let's start with our first query to create a database. So I'll simply give the statement create database followed by the database name. As of now, let's give it school. And I'll just execute this line on selecting it, and I can use this particular run button. So here you can see that there is a success. So a database with the name school is created, but you won't be able to see it here. So to see it here, you have to do a refresh. And once you refresh, you can see the database with the name school is created. As of now, there is no tables in that particular database because I have just created a database. So in this way, we can create a database. Now, if you see here, I have also written it also to avoid errors. We can use this command create database if not exists database name. So why is this needed, create database if not exist? So let me just show you. So I have written this command create database school. A database with the name school is already created into my system. Consider I am running this command again. So what it's showing? It's showing me an error that a database with the name school already exists. So what we do just to avoid errors, because errors are something which is like nightmare for developers. So just to avoid errors, what we do is we put an additional check that if not exist. So create a database if it does not exist. So we will use this query create database if not exist, and we'll give the database name. Now if we run the same query, you will see that you are not getting an error. Rather, you are getting a warning message that already this particular database exists. So if you want to create tables in that particular database, you can use that particular database. So right now we are not seeing an error. We are just seeing a warning. So it's better to add this additional check while creating a database. Create a database whenever there is no existing database with the same name. So create a database if not exist database name. So this was all about the creation of database. Now let's see how we can delete the database. So we use the drop database statement to delete a database. Dropping a database means deleting the entire database including all the tables. So dropping a database means consider that you have a database of student. And in this particular student database, you have two tables. First is the course table, student course table, and second is the student address table. So once you use this drop database command, so what will happen? It will delete the entire database including all the tables which is present in this particular database, all the data which is present in this particular tables. So it will delete the entire database, all the objects, all the values which is present in that database. So this command is not usually suggested, and if you are a developer, I would surely say that please avoid these commands. And don't ever do this command or don't ever execute this command in the prod database, because like that would be a nightmare for you. So always avoid this command, but since we want to know how we can delete our database, this command is necessary to delete our database. So the dropping means deleting the entire database including all the tables in the data, all the other objects within it. So drop is a DDL command, that is data definition language command. Now these commands are not case sensitive as I told for the create command. So the command for dropping a database is drop database followed by the database name. So let's see about this command as well. So as of now, I have already created a database with the name school. So let me just delete this database. So I'll do drop database followed by the name, followed by the database name. Just run this. So you can see that we have got a success. So this database is deleted from our schema. So here you can see that the school database does not exist. Now again in this particular slide, you would be also seeing that I have given also to avoid errors. So do we get errors while deleting the database as well? So the answer is yes. There could be a possibility that in the server there are many databases. You forgot that which database you have deleted, and again you are running the same command to delete that particular database which is already deleted. So it will give me an error. So what we do is we write a command drop database if exist. So the database should be existing, only then delete the database. If the database is not existing, do nothing. So drop database if exists the database name. So let me just show you again. So I have already deleted the school database. Let me again just delete the school database because I'm not aware that what all databases are there in my server. So by mistake I have deleted the school database, and again I am deleting the school database. So if I again execute this command, you can see I am getting an error because this particular database I have deleted just 2 minutes back, but I don't remember that I have already deleted this database. This could happen like if you have deleted a database 1 week ago, and after 1 week you don't remember that if I have deleted that database or not, and you run the same query. Or consider that you can also run the same query for a database which is not existing in the schema. So as of now, consider that there is a teacher database which is not existing in the schema, and if I run this particular command also, it will show me an error because this particular database does not exist in the schema. So to avoid such errors, what we do is we include this if exist clause so that it will check that delete the database if it exists in the server. So we will use this for the school only. We will use the same command. So drop database if exist, and here I give the command as school. So let me just run it again. So here you can see that we are not getting an error, rather we are getting a warning message that this student database does not exist, it's already deleted. So in some way we are avoiding the errors, we are just getting a warning messages. Now let's see that how we can use the database. So as I told that once we have created the database, there could be many databases in the server. So I have to tell the server that if I have to create any tables or I have to insert any data, which database I am inserting to. So for that we will be using the use statement. So use followed by the database name. We use the use statement to use a database. These commands are not case sensitive, and the command is use followed by the database name. So let's see. So again what I'll do is I'll create a database. Let's create a database college. So I'll execute this statement. So it's success. I'll just do a refresh all. So here I can see a college database which is created. Now what I'll do is I'll do just use, and I'll give the database name, that is college, followed by a semicolon. And once I run this query is also executed with a success. So now in this database only we can perform all the actions. So this is the use of use statement. Now let's see the next command. Now let's see how we can see the database. So showing a database. We use show databases statement to see all the databases which is present in the server. As I told earlier that in the server there could be multiple databases. Now I want to see that what all databases are there in my server. So what I'll do, I'll just execute this show databases statement which will show me all the databases which is present on my server. So let's use this command as well. So we will just do show databases, and I'll just execute this command. And here you can see that all the databases which is present in my schema is shown. Now again, as I told that SYS performance schema is something which is related to MySQL workbench. The DBA administrator use it to analyze the performance and everything. But here you can see the database which we created college is already shown here. This was all about creation, deletion, seeing all the databases in the server. In the next video, we would be doing the same for the tables, like creating the tables, inserting the data into the tables, deleting the tables, and seeing all the data which is present into the tables. I hope you like this video. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're someone who is new to my channel, go ahead and watch out the tech content first. And if you find it useful, go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you know someone who is looking out for SQL series, you can surely suggest this series to them. Till then, take care, keep learning, keep growing, keep smiling. Bye all.